everybody? Christian Carmona once again here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Praise be to God that I'm here with, what we say, a brother from another mother, right? And especially us in the Spanish families, when your moms are like very good friends, they pretty much raise us to believe that we're cousins. So all my life I'm here with Danny. We've always called each other cousins, but not by blood, just because it's kind of like a very Spanish Latin tradition to do that, you know. So it's going to be the third episode that I'm doing here on What's Your Zeal, and like I said, I've invited my cousin Danny, Daniel Reyes, as a matter of fact, is his name. And if you've been following me very well, and if you have read the book, he actually is in the book himself, as he was there personally to witness some of the events that went down in the book. When I mean, there's one memory in specific that always, you know, is ingrained in my mind when, so if you've been following the story, me and my brother, you know, my parents get arrested. Me and my brother are moving down from Atlanta. We come to Miami. None of our close family members want to take us in, being the fact that, you know, they were also involved one way or another to the drug trade. So why, you know, me and my brother, why would we go live with them? So his mom, which was very good friends with my mom, God touched their heart, bless it, she took us in. So me and my brother, when we came from Miami, we went to live with him. I mean, at that time then, I was 13 years old. You were what, about?
11, 12.
About 11, 12. We had already grew, you know, we've been to each other's birthday parties up until then. We were raised to believe we were cousins. So me and him always got along, and I'll never forget that day that I'm sitting in his kitchen counter cabinet when the FBI came in there. I mean, Danny he was there, he was in the room, and that's when they, you know, the FBI pretty much told me and the reality of what my father's business was, you know, a narco in the drug trade, and that he was going to be going away for a long time. As a matter of fact, on that day, they pretty much told me, you know, he was going to get life and I most likely would never see him again, and that my mother was facing real serious things. I'm just sitting at the counter. I know Danny was in his room, and his mother and stepfather were there that time. So, you know, maybe Danny can expound on that story a little bit now from his point of view of what you remember of all those days.
Man, what I remember is, mind you, I mean, we were still young, you know, like at 11, 12 years old. You know, I remember that just something wasn't right, but it was never talked about or never nothing, you know. But as a young child, I value, you know, as Chris is like cousin's like a more like a half brother, man. You know, we had the same likes, you know, like basketball, football. We were big arcade nerds. You know, we used to go. Remember?
Yeah.
You used to like the Sega Afterburner. Remember the one you got to pay like $2 at Grand Prix Racerama that flips you and all that. And then I like playing the was it an NBA Jam, the one with that everybody picked Orlando Magic because Shaquille O'Neal
and Anthony Hardaway.
No, Scott Skiles I think was the partner. Was it Scott Skiles? Anyways, but I remember you were the one. Man, it's taking me back. You were the one that got me hooked on before, because remember growing up, you know, I never went to sleep hungry or thirsty, but you know, I just didn't have parents just didn't have money for all the luxuries in life, you know. So luckily, his mom, you know, when Chris and I would go out like, to the beach, whatever, Chris and I used to go to the arcade. So after the arcade, but his mom would give us money. You know, if Chris got $50, I got, or $20, whatever it was, I got $20, $50. So we used to go to the arcade, and then Chris, he had this addiction of collecting basketball cards. So I remember the Upper Deck.
Yeah.
And then I think you completed the whole set of the basketball cards of I never forget it, 91-92 season, right?
Yeah.
But I was never able to complete it. And I can't remember if that same year was the Olympic Dream Team.
That was 92.
92. Okay. And then I used to always ask for a Christmas present. Hey, mom or whatever, aunt, can you get me the the basketball Olympic, because they used to sell those cards at BJ's Wholesale Club. So you get them in bulk.
I don't even remember BJ's back then.
Yeah, BJ's. Yeah, so you buy the cards in bulk, and then you could much quicker, complete the roster. But it was like I said, those times where I knew that something was right, but as a young kid, I just wanted to appreciate, having Chris. We hung out together, man. It's kind of like naive and oblivious, or just not look over there, just enjoy the moment. And it was kind of like although I'm not gonna lie, man, my room wasn't all that big.
No, we had to share that room, and sometimes my brother would have to squeeze in there too.
Yeah, man, we would have to sleep on that bed sideways, and but it was all like, man, it was all good, And Julian, because he had a driver's license.
That's my older brother. Everybody.
Yeah, we used to have to brag him to take us to the Carvel ice cream store, But those are the days,
movies
man.
And things.
But once once the dust settled, and then you left, it was it's like it sucked,
What Danny, he's bringing back some memories, and yeah, in a way, I guess it was wrong how we dealt with it, but it was pretty much.
No, it wasn't wrong, man.
The truth, the truth came. The truth came, and me and him kind of, like I said, we're growing up. We really didn't know what my parents did. We just, we just enjoyed some, like he was saying, when my mom and we'd go out and things like that. But once the truth was revealed, it pretty much became that unspoken truth. Now we just didn't really talk about it. Even though I should have, I guess, but I guess I just didn't want to talk about it. I mean, the shame and the guilt of it all, and and I thank him, because if it wasn't, he allowed me to just continue to be a kid growing up and just focus on sports and just being a kid, So having him during those most critical days and weeks, because then eventually I went to go live with my brother. We came back up to Broward, because at this moment in time it was in North Miami where he lived. But yeah, Danny, you helped me a lot in those times, just to deal with that unspoken truth. But now let me ask you that. What's your zeal now in life? What do you?
I'm starting a new chapter in my life, and that's as far as employment goes. I want to start my new chapter in life, in Orlando. Hopefully working at at a big company, but that's well established and invests in their employees, and develops them from within, much like how Disney does it, and made other major companies there, and there's also a big healthcare industry in Orlando. Plus, it's good, like new scenery too. I always liked Orlando, and it's not too far now with the Bright Line, because it's not like I'm gonna break ties with my family and friends here in South Florida. With the Bright Line, you can come back and forth. But I do want a new scenery, and now's the time to do it.
I will tell you this, so if you've read the book or watched the story, I'm not trying to give away too much, but I go to jail, right? The 4 years that kind of separates us. Remember, back then there was no Facebook yet or social media. Pretty much, you lose somebody's number, you lose communication. And I guess when Facebook first started out, Danny's the one who searched me off Facebook, found me, and that's how we were able to link back up, and that was what, in like, 09, 010 or something like that.
It was like in, like 9 or 10, because it wasn't actually, it wasn't Facebook. It was, because on my way to work, at the bank, I would have to drive past. Remember on Sheridan Street, those the apartment buildings where we used to play basketball on the weekends.
Yeah.
So, and then all the time driving past, and I go, and for a long time I was saying, man, what happened to Chris? I'm sure he's still around. I gotta get a hold of him somehow. I actually Googled you. And then when I started to see like the ad, so I Googled you, you know, and then I saw information pop up on you, and then, I mean, thank God it was lucky. I got lucky because all the addresses, I was able to connect the dots, and it made sense. And only, shoot, man, it was probably about 3 numbers, you know, I came back to you, and I'm like, and they were the same numbers, so I'm like, yeah, let me try, let me reach out to them. I'm gonna do it right now. And I did it, you know, at work, and found you, and then I think that same day when we talked, didn't I come and see you there at the basketball court? It was like literally right up the street, you know, from my house when I was in the Pines, Cooper City area. We used to play at
an embassy?
no, not an embassy, the one in
Oh,
was it
Long
Davies?
Lakes.
Yes,
Long Lake
Long
Ranches,
Lake.
yes.
Like somebody lived there, or used to, and
Yeah.
it was like one big full court, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. So, but yeah, Chris and I always grew up playing basketball too. So,
So basketball's always been something, you know, keep sports in general has always been something to keep us together. And I thank God. I thank God for bringing him back into my life. And now we even did the you know, we've been working together in the car business. I mean, he pretty much about 2 years ago, he's kind of just looking for something. He's a little burnt out in the car business, so he's looking to see what doors God's going to open in some other industry and things like that. But Annie, I want to thank you, man, for sharing.
thank
I love
you.
you so much. So everybody, don't forget it. Then this is one thing I can. So I went on this guy's podcast. This is the one that dropped last week, everybody, with Johnny Parsons, right? Unshakable. It's a daily devotional. It's become my daily devotional every day. I suggest you get it. Man, this guy, it's unbelievable. This devotional. Just 2 nights ago, if you've been watching me, I went to a show for a very famous Colombian comedian that to us, he's, I mean, we could say he's like the Eddie Murphy of Colombian comedy. And he does a lot of different acts and things like that. And I was fortunate enough for him. I gave him his copy of Zeal that he asked for, and he gave me a copy of the book that he just wrote about his grandfather and him growing up, El Árbol de Guayacán. So I also recommend everybody, of course, if you read Spanish. And please, don't forget Zeal. We have it in English and in Spanish. Once again, everybody, I thank you for your time.
Should we give the viewers a heads up about maybe the next chapter?
About tonight?
No, about the next chapter, man.
Well,
about the
tonight
chapter
we're
that
going to be
No, not tonight. Remember the chapter about, you know, because we want to take the viewers back. Also, too, and maybe we want to do an episode to where, growing up like in the 80s and 90s, you know, the things like, we saw like Grand Prix Racerama that's no longer there. Is it, what's over there, Boomers or? I haven't driven back. And then remember the Blockbuster Fun video games on in Sunrise back in the day. So it's things like that we want to do to also take you guys back.
But you know what they're going to want to hear about,
What?
Danny? That now we know, but we didn't realize it back then. How about the birthday parties and when everybody would get together at T.Y. Park? And now that we watch the Cocaine Cowboy stuff, and we're like, holy cow, that was that guy. That was that.
Oh,
But we would be so young, we didn't know who was who or nothing. And
Yeah.
now, you know, look, it was that unspoken truth that now family members, because of time, have spoken, and now we look back and we're like, oh my God, he was at our birth, or he was there, or he was friends with the family, or this guy or that. And so, but yeah, we can definitely do it again. Once again, everybody, just to give you a quick recap, please don't forget to get from Johnny Parsons the 365-day devotional. That's what I'm using now every morning. And once again, from my brother, my Colombian, mi hermano colombiano, Danny Hoyos, right, who wrote this book and who is, you know, just a big-time comedian in Colombian. And I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for everything that he's done in the world of Zeal. And tonight, the other news is tonight, me and Danny we've been invited to participate in another local podcast. It's what we do. So with our brother Keith Hunter, everybody knows him as OG Gigavelli. So that will be taped tonight. I don't know when he's going to release it, but we will be taping that. And once again, in 2 weeks, we have with Means Business with Morgan Puckett in Alabama. So once again, everybody, I thank you. God bless you. Thank you for watching, liking, doing all that you do. And ask yourself, what is my zeal?